Hi family, it's Teresa here with Shaman's Dream Project, and I will be covering today the next in the series, Holy Days versus Holidays. And this one in particular has, I guess you could say, been close to my heart. It's because it's on my birthday, um, and it's called Veterans Day. Um, it's November 11th, and um, it also kind of hits home for me too because I am one of those veterans. I worked on the dark side for 21 years um, for the banks and the corporations, facilitating the never-ending wars of aggression all over the planet and all other manner of money laundering, drug laundering, weapons, you name it. Good stuff the DOD's into. And not just them, of course, but all the other counterparts. But anyhow, so today is Veterans Day, right? Or not today, but the 11th of November is Veterans Day. And this is supposed to be like a holiday, another holiday, holly, not holy, issued by the government. And it's to quote unquote honor the veterans who have sacrificed life and limb in these wars of never-ending aggression fought on behalf of banks and corporations. But that's not what the government wants us to even question. I think it was in 1932 that Major General Smedley Butler got up and went on a campaign across America to warn everybody about the same thing basically that Dwight Eisenhower warned us about 30 years later, and the same thing that JFK talked about a couple decades after that, and that it's the military-industrial complex, and that the wars are fought on behalf of banks and corporations, and they have nothing to do with, defending liberty and what are the other things, honor, duty, country, all that stuff. It's all programming. But to prevent us from, like, if our intention is really to honor the veterans, then you would imagine that comes after the intention comes the action, which is to start questioning, wait, another war? Wait, another one? And, we didn't vote for this, and what did that country ever do to us, and that sort of thing. That would be the action that lines up with the intention of honoring the veterans, because if we truly honor them, we want to make sure that we don't continue to have more of them be killed and maimed in wars abroad. We would also begin to question the way our veterans are treated when they come home from those wars. And we would definitely, if we saw the budget sheets of the Veterans Administration Hospital and all the backlog of disability claims, you betcha if those $10,000 a bomb price tags didn't get you, then the cost of taking care of the veterans when they come back would also be of concern, and it would be something that we would want to look into as far as action that meets the intention of honoring the veterans. And it doesn't have to be veterans, it's just honor for your fellow man, that you don't want to see them be used as a lab rat, and even using a lab rat is wrong for sure, but I'm not making any difference between a lab rat and a human, but I'm just using that term. But that's what the military does. It's one of the reasons the U.S. military requires such a large number of people in it. It's not just because of all the wars, it's because most of those are fought by drones and surveillance and CIA, black ops kind of stuff. Very few of our soldiers are actually on the battlefield like you would think of with a rifle and all that stuff. The numbers are actually required because the FDA, the Fraud and Death Administration, requires what's called phase 3 trials for all the drugs and all the vaccinations. And so, before they're released to the public, they have to go through the human study. That's the phase 3. Phase 1 is in a petri dish. Phase 2 is the animal, and phase 3 is the human. So they need a, let's say, big volunteer force for that, but they don't actually tell the veteran that that's what's going. There's no informed consent whatsoever. So, again, if we're going to honor our veterans or our fellow, human being, then we would say no. Like, testing drugs and vaccines on humans is wrong, and you're just making them sicker, and it's costing more in the VA for us to take care of them, and they're not really getting taken care of in the VA. They're just being given more drugs and surgeries and all other manner of petrochemical, materialist, reductionist, fake science, sick care bullshit. I get a little passionate, you can tell. So yeah, that would be our actions if our actions were in alignment with our intentions. Then our objective would be met, first of all, and secondly, we wouldn't go astray. So where we go astray is by having the government give us a holiday called Veterans Day, and basically says, just have a barbecue or drink some beer or, wave some flags or, I don't know what the hell, people do on Veterans Day. I don't know. But whatever it is, it's not honoring the veterans. It's not action that honors them. Yes, your intention is there. I'm going to go plant some flags on the cemetery because it's Veterans Day or whatever. Your intentions are good. But if they're not if they're not aligned with the proper action, then that's perversion. That's the holy versus holly. And so, when we do lend our actions to these perversions, then the intention is never met. The objective is never met. We don't see an end to the recruitment of hundreds of thousands of young people every day across the nation, and even from abroad. I'm not kidding. My dive master in, I think it was the Galapagos Islands 20 years ago almost, my dive master was getting messages at that time to sign up and join the army so he could go to Iraq. So yeah, there's young people from all over the world. It's not just the United States, and they're being recruited into this machine that grinds them up and spits them out. Doesn't really sound like we're honoring anybody by doing that. So, if we truly did want to honor our fellow human beings, especially the ones in uniform, we would begin to question, why are there these never-ending wars, and why all our veterans are sick? Why is that? What's this Gulf War syndrome? What's this mysterious illness that we just don't know what caused that? Well, I know what caused it. It's the squalene in the vaccines called anthrax, and they're deadly autoimmune stuff for sure. That's what it was, autoimmune stuff. And once they got it tested on us, they unleashed it to the American public in the early 90s. They started putting it in the flu vaccines and all other manner of vaccines. And that's why you see the explosion of autoimmune disorders in the United States in the last 10 to 15 years. I could try to include some show notes in this, but I think maybe for the sake of keeping the intention of this video sacred, I'm just going to stick to the principal objective. And then if you're interested, you can do your own research, and you can learn about the lab called Biotech, I think it was, Biotech. And Dick Cheney was a huge shareholder in it, and they were looking for a new way to make people sick and make more profits for the petrochemical industry. And yeah, that's enough. I'm not going to say any more about that. I'll let you do your own research and find out why. Yeah, why exactly. But for the sake of this video, and the sake of the series being the holidays versus holy days, I just want to illustrate one more example of how our objectives, which are based in our intentions, like if you have an intention to get a college degree, let's say, then you take the action to go get the college degree. You don't go wander off in some, barbecue with your friends and family and wave a bunch of flags. Like, it doesn't match up. Like, your stated objectives do not match up with the actions. Your intentions are here, your rituals are there. It's just never gonna line up. And of course, this is the intention behind all of the holidays, because remember again, who issues the holidays? Either the gubernmente, that's the Latin word for government, which means mind control, or the relegare, which is the Latin word for religion, which means to tie up, to bind, or to hold back from progress. You want to do those rituals? I don't. No, I will not participate in your Veterans Day, government. No amount of holidays would ever satiate me for the loss of life, not just from the people in uniform in the United States, but also the civilians abroad who are, killed and maimed and, have their entire countries destroyed. And I mean, like, permanently and irreparably jacked up. 100,000 tons of depleted uranium was dumped in Iraq between the First and Second Gulf War. Why? Because we couldn't put it in the backyard anymore at home. Too many people were screaming about burying it in the desert or throwing it in the ocean. So let's drop it in Iraq, and don't you pay no mind. Just a 40,000% increase in cancer overnight, and 1 out of 3 children that are born don't even look like children because the birth defects are so off the charts. They're not even in the medical books, these birth defects. It's because of being exposed to ionized radiation called depleted uranium. It's gamma radiation in vitro. And it literally changes the DNA structure of the human being. And just as a side note, depleted uranium has a half-life of 4.5 billion years. And for those who don't understand the scientific term half-life, it just means that however strong something is in the environment, as far as a toxin goes, in this case, that's the number of years before you will see it reduced to 50% of its initial impact. So, 9 billion years, basically, before that depleted uranium is going to stop having an impact on life on that part of the planet. That's what you get, love, when you celebrate Veterans Day the way the government tells you, and you perform their rituals instead of finding within your heart your own ritual, your own action that is driven by that desire to stop the killing and the maiming of our human family and our Mother Earth. I hope this has been a blessing, family. Just some thoughts for you to ponder, just some perspectives for you to consider, and if it's my objective to share that in the hopes that soon our actions will line up with our beliefs, our rituals will line up with our intentions, and we will have more peace on this earth. That's my message on this holi-day versus holy day series. Thank you for taking the time, family. And if this resonates with you at all, I encourage you to like and subscribe and share, especially share. It's medicine for everybody, from my heart to yours. Namaste. I love you, family.